It's one of the most famous historic sites in England.
Yes.
Hadrian's Wall.
Wow.
Over 80 miles of wall, turrets and forts, stretching from coast to coast across northern England.
Man, I would love to go to northern England and actually do some footage filming myself. That's one thing I do appreciate of these episodes, when they actually go to the place. And it seems like they brought a drone. Pretty cool. I used the drone a couple of times on my videos.
Mile after mile of stone marching over the horizon.
Yeah.
An icon of Roman dominance.
100%. 100%.
And now it's celebrating its birthday. In 122 AD, the Emperor Hadrian visited Britain, and as a Roman historian tells us, he put many things right, and he was the first to build a wall from sea to sea to separate the Romans from the barbarians.
Yeah.
But Hadrian's
And what barbarians the ones living in Caledonia, modern day Scotland, were. Goodness gracious.
wall is also an enigma. To understand this familiar but surprising structure, I'm going to explore 3 key sites along its length. Arbea on Tyneside in the east, Chester's in the heart of Northumbria, and Birdoswald in Cumbria as the wall approaches the west.
Nice.
I'll dig into some of the main questions about this 1,900-year-old structure. Why was the wall built? Barbarian land. Who were the people who lived here?
For women.
This is aggressive defence.
What happened when...
Oh no, they got Simon Elliott. Damn it. This is gonna get bad soon. So up to this point I really liked it, but...
Roman rule in Britain came to an end? Did this wall come tumbling down? And don't worry, I'll also be seeking out the influence of Hadrian's Wall in modern times, from the Eagle of the Ninth to Game of Thrones.
Okay. Cool. I like the title, The Wall, Rome's Great Northern Frontier. It's a really, really cool title.
When the Emperor Hadrian came to his province of Britannia in AD 122, there was a profound change happening to the empire. Up until then, in the 150 years since Augustus, the first emperor, the Roman Empire had no real borders. It had just grown and grown, with no apparent limit.
Yeah.
But now the empire was increasingly coming up against obstacles. Powerful rival empires in the east, resurgent Germanic tribes beyond the Rhine, and tough, warlike people in what is now Scotland. They had to ask themselves the question, did they want to go on expanding indefinitely? And the answer for Emperor Hadrian was no. He wanted to consolidate, dig in, fortify a line around that empire. And that is why this is the northern edge of an empire in its prime.
You might need some sunscreen, mate. Anyways, one thing I wanted to say, even though it's true that the Caledones, the people, all the different tribes in Scotland were very warlike, as he's saying, it's important to contextualize this correctly. This isn't a wall built because the Romans were afraid of the Caledonians. No, sir. This is a wall built because there was no reason for the Romans economically to invade Caledonia and control it militarily by force. Because you have to look at it this way. Whenever you have a campaign, and do remember the campaigns happen during spring and summer, they don't happen during winter. So whenever you organize a military campaign, what you're doing in the simplest of forms is that you are investing capital in the form of soldiers, payment, moving on legions, raising new legions, all of the different logistical needs when it comes to moving your legions to invade enemy territory and occupy. All of this is a massive cost. So, in order to justify the cost, you have to first scout, assess the land, evaluate the possible properties and loot that you can get, and assess the level of resistance. If the resistance is too high in comparison to how much you've got to gain, the Romans don't invade. If the resistance is low and the riches are high, the Romans invade without even blinking. if the resistance is very high, but so is the riches and monetary gain that you can get from it, then it's a situation where generals, senate, emperors sit down, talk, and discuss other aspects, such as, for example, the strategic importance and value of said territory that they're going to gain. For example, Sicily is an excellent example of this. When it comes to Scotland, it was high in resistance, low in possible monetary gains. So they build a wall and they don't invade. Just to give, because I don't want this to sound like, oh, the Romans were afraid, these people were too strong, build a wall and hide. No, that's why they don't expand.
One that stretched from here across thousands of miles of Roman-controlled land and sea to the sands of the North African desert.
Yep.
I'm starting my investigation of Rome's northern wall at Birdoswald, a well-preserved fort built 1900 years ago in Cumbria. Joining me by one of the main entrances is Rob Collins from Newcastle University.
Nice.
So this is obviously one of the big gates here.
Yeah, this is the East Gate at Birdoswald, and one of the best gates along the entire wall, really.
It's huge, isn't it? It's a double. I thought these were meant to be defensive positions. These massive big gates.
Yeah, this is a gate, but it's also a monument. You have to imagine this thing standing 2 or 3 stories tall. And you can see the quality of building in these gates. So those stones there that make the pier for the arch are very nicely shaped. You've got this little Springer stone, and actually the first voussoir, the first bent stone, which formed the arch over the whole gate.
Is this the idea? You're kind of entering or leaving the Roman Empire and they want you to know about it?
Well, in some cases, but actually it's not just the empire, it's a fort. You know, this is a large settlement full of 500 soldiers. You know you're coming into military space when you walk through a gate like this.
Yeah, and also the fact that it's large, it doesn't make it any less defensible, because